Matthias, who was here just a few minutes ago, he's speaking at the SEO one. I know you'll be covering that. And matter of fact, in our panel, we'll be covering some tips on how to do segmentation using Google Analytics for Spanish speakers by region and by country. So great stuff.
And that's actually something that I was going to touch on. From my perspective, looking at, that's right, I'm small, but I have a very loud voice. One of the things that I think about is, in terms of segmenting as a marketer, what is it that you have to do different? Is it something so dramatic? I think probably the best example is that when we took SES to China, we're doing a show we did our first successful show in Hong Kong last year, and we're moving to Shanghai now. And I sat with some of the guys from agencies in China, and we were looking at the difference with the end user. We were looking at the difference in the way that the Chinese build a website, the way they navigate a website, the way that they choose keywords and a combination of keywords and numbers. And I began to realize this is probably the first time, when I think about China, where the shift in the way that you think about the audience and the perception is absolutely huge. But I'm wondering, with targeting the Latino Hispanic marketplace, is it a huge shift? Do we have to think entirely differently, or is it just a combination of subtle differences?
I mean, I think that you have, if you look at components that make the audience different, if you want to call it, you have cultural identity. So what makes us Latinos? And they're probably the most important, in my mind, the most important driver. So when I look at myself, and I consider myself a Latino, there are components of my media life that are vastly different than the general market. So I'm a soccer fanatic, you know. I don't know how many of you are soccer fanatics here on the table, and a few of them. But that makes me unique, and I'm kind of like a particular kind of soccer. It's not MLS soccer, it's something else. So that makes us different, you know. My music consumption is a bit different. You know, I listen to English music, but I also listen to specific Spanish rock, for example. So those are the nuances, and that goes beyond language. Those are the nuances that really make my identity unique. And there are ways that you can identify that and be able to have a conversation with that user at that level. And then there's really language as more of a segmentation capability than really a uniqueness capability. A lot of Latinos that use the internet have probably bilingual capabilities to a certain extent. So, but it's very important to capture that user as they're engaging in language. We found that when you do that, you're probably more likely to be successful. So those are the things, but going back to the best practices, really testing and learning when it comes to search is critical, because for every product, for every brand, it may be different.
So we have about 10 minutes left. I had a question on social media, but I'm going to hold that because I know we've only got 10 minutes left, and I'd like to open it up to the audience. I think we have a microphone runner in the back.
Well, just one more thing. When we start producing Portuguese content from Brazil, we noticed that I would say about 30% of our traffic was coming from China. So I would have never dreamed that we, producing Portuguese content, we were going to get viewers from China. So apparently the Chinese are looking into the Brazilian market, and we now have a connection to them, to a language that wasn't our first target.
That's exactly right. You know,
so I think also as you go and you play around, you learn a lot of things. So for us, now I would say it will be easier to target Chinese companies using Portuguese who have never guessed a few weeks ago.
A lot of Americans think of China as, you know, where it's made in China. Well, if you're Chinese, where are things made? They're made in Brazil, because Brazil, or if they're not made, a lot of those resources. So you've got to think of Brazil as the China for China.
It's one of those would you believe it kind of things. You told me that in the bar last night. I said, stop drinking, guy.
Just a highlight, we have one of the events that we support in the commission is called the New York Salsa Congress, and it happens actually at this hotel in September every year. Guess who are the best dancers? Not Latinos, the Chinese. It's mind-boggling. They're coming from China to the to these competitions here for salsa, and they're better than the Latinos, which is amazing. True story.
Well, do we have any questions? If I don't see any hands go up quickly, I'm going to go ahead and ask my social media one. Here we go.
Hi, this question is for Mr. Lopez. What is your, I guess, projected year-over-year growth approximately for Spanish keyword queries in the U.S.?
The year-to-year growth?
For keywords.
Well, we still, yeah, I mean, it depends on the category. I mean, I showed you 3 examples there. But across all categories, our growth surpasses vastly what we're seeing in general market. So whether you're talking about a 15% growth or a 40% growth, and then again, it varies vastly by keyword setting, there's a tremendous opportunity there because the spend going against those keywords is not going up proportionally. So that creates arbitrage opportunities just on a pricing standpoint. I mean, most Spanish language keywords, when you look at English, are underpriced between 40 and 50%. So there's definitely an opportunity as the market continues to grow faster.
I know at least one person in the audience I spoke with before is interested in doing some business in Latin America. I think that's a key takeaway. We'll hear from Mark there.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the kind of social media habits. So for me, I'm English, I live in Spain with my wife who's Brazilian, and she manages her Brazilian contacts via Walcut and a European network via Facebook. I just wondered, is that normal? Is that the same for US Hispanics, or is it all Facebook? How's that working out?
I can speak to that, but
I think when you look at social, there's more, I mean, people look at social on specific sites. I think social really